If you're going to do something, do it well and leave something with you. Charles Manson said that. What do you think of when you hear the name Charles Manson? Serial killer, killer Sharon Tate, or just some crazy guy who cut a swastika in his forehead? Yes, while he's all of these things, he was also a full-fledged cult leader. According to Andrew J. Atchison, Manson single-handedly ended the free love, peaceful, and happiness era during the 1960s. I'm here to tell you about the life of Manson, the Manson family, and his influence upon them, and whatever led to his downfall. However, you must be wondering what led Manson to live this life. From early stages in his life, Charles Manson was unwanted. He was born to Kathleen Maddox on November 12, 1934. She was a 16-year-old runaway and had no interest in raising her own child. At 13, he was sent to Indiana Boys School, and where he was verbally and sexually abused. At 19 years old in 1954, he moved to Los Angeles, where he appeared to settle, but you couldn't be more wrong. According to Asia Romano, he was in and out of prison for the next 10 years because of sex trafficking and pimping, until 1969 when he was finally made a free man. He dived into the 1960s counterculture movement of free love and hippies. This movement in the U.S. led him to finding his first Manson family member, Patricia Krenwinkel. Patricia Krenwinkel went through a plethora of bullies and abuse. She lost her virginity at 15 years old and became addicted to diet pills. Her parents divorced at 17 years old and her self-esteem was in the gutter. She had no purpose and no hope until she met Manson in 1967. He gave her the false sense of security she needed. He gained her trust through sex and intimacy, and she told him she would follow him anywhere he went. And just as he lured her into the Manson family, he had no problem creating an entire cult of broken souls to do his bidding as his own family. Through drug-induced sermons, he convinced them that he was their savior. He was the Son of Man, parallel to his last name. His members would do anything. For example, Mary Bruner and Lynette Fromey would dumpster dive in order to provide anything the family needed. As time went on, lecture topics became darker. Manson mentioned something called Helter Skelter, based off the Beatles song on the White Album. According to Manson, Helter Skelter was a race war in which African American communities would rise to power and overthrow whites. Manson family would hide and stay out in the desert until the race war was over and until the so-called unequipped African American leaders needed their help. Manson was racist, and even though that this theory is completely preposterous, his followers hung on to his every word and would do whatever it took to survive to Helter Skelter, even commit murder. On August 18th of 1969, Manson family went on a 2-day killing spree and killed 5 people. Most honorable victims were Sharon Tate and her husband, Roman Polanski. Tex Watson, Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkel, and Linda Kasabian got in the car and ended up at 10500 Cielo Drive. They entered the house with weapons at the ready. In the house was Sharon Tate, who was 9 months pregnant, Roman Polanski, Jay Sebring, and Woj Frykowski, and his girlfriend Abigail Folger. Tex bluntly told them, "You're all going to die." Sharon screamed and the hostages tried to escape. Tex shot, stabbed, and beat Jay Sebring and Frykowski. Susan Atkins ran after Sharon Tate and killed her, and her baby died moments later. Patricia Krenwinkel ran after Abigail Folger and stabbed her 28 times. In order to spark Helter Skelter, Susan Atkins dipped a towel in Tate's blood and wrote "pig" on the front door and "death to pigs" on the living room wall. When they got back home, Manson was beaming with pride and asked them if they had felt any remorse after what they had done. They all answered no. However, to Manson's dismay, Helter Skelter never came, but the downfall of the Manson family surely did. Ironically, the murders did not lead to the family's downfall at first. Petty crimes such as possession of stolen weapons and possession of stolen cars is what hit them. People living close by reported disturbances of the Manson family to the police, which drew unwanted attention. The knockout punch is when Susan Atkins was arrested in a police raid, and while in prison, she bragged to her cellmate about murdering Sharon Tate. Her cellmate ratted her out, and the cops already had all the suspects they needed in custody, on top of fingerprints and testimony by Susan Atkins. The case was cracked wide open. Tex Watson, Susan Atkins, and Patricia Kremikel were all charged with the murders of Sharon Tate and the others in that house. According to New York Times writer Amisha Panani, all Manson family members lived out the rest of their lives in prison. As for Manson himself, he was sentenced life prison in Corcoran State Prison in California until he died on November 19, 2017 from cardiac arrest. The Manson family as a whole left a huge mark on U.S. history, and it all leads back to one man and his psychological foothold upon his followers' lives. He told, and they obeyed without second thought because of their desperate need for acceptance and approval. In essence, Charles Manson took hold of their lives for his own bidding, which not only led to their downfall, but his as well.